Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Old School Knicks. I'm your main man, Freezy. I'm joined by the man that is so smooth he doesn't require a chaser. Anthony D is in the building. What's good, sir?
What's going on? We good. Good
You know,
morning, Nick Nation out there. Another Sunday, another ride, another journey. You know, for some of them out there, another lesson, about basketball ethics and just basketball in general. No names need to be mentioned.
shout out to shout out to New School Knicks. Y'all know what it is. New School Knicks. Shout out to New School Knicks, man. They are babies in the game, but at least they in the game. So
Absolutely.
yeah, man. So I had a topic that I wanted to talk with you, and of course we don't have to just do one topic, man, over the course of the next few moments or so. But I wanted to talk about the Magic, which is a player that comes off the radar and explodes for a big game in Madison Square Garden, right? Or big game in general. You know what I'm saying? We saw it last season where a bench player got an opportunity to start and he exploded for 42 points. And in that same game, I think another bench guy, had a triple double in that same game, right? And what kind of got me is how often this happens, right? How often this happen? How often does a power forward, basically a bench power forward, go off and scores 42 points on 28 shots, and his point guard scores 34 points in the same game and has a triple double, right? And we've seen this happen more than as Knicks fans, more than what people might think. All right, because the obvious one is Jeremy Lin, right? That's the obvious thing. Lin sanity, right? Jeremy Lin comes up. If Jeremy Lin hits a couple of shots in Boston, people don't notice because it's a game in Boston. It's a back-to-back game. In the garden. The next night, it's in the Garden. Nobody knew what Lin did the night before, and then he comes into the game for the Knicks. The Knicks have no energy. Yeah, I think our guards are. I think if memory serves me correctly, is maybe a Prigioni, Tony Douglas, God, I always forget the other guard name. Langston Galloway.
No,
Um,
Langston Galloway. No, that's before Langston Galloway.
okay.
Iman Shumbert.
And Landry Fields.
Shumbert, Fields,
Andy Routens.
any rounds might have been there. I don't think so though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, but a guard, but a guy comes off the bench, and then the next thing you know, he has a huge night, and it happens more often than you think. I've seen it happen with Derek Williams. Remember Derek Williams?
But there's a
He
guy. I mean, there's a huge night, and then there is the stratosphere. You
yeah.
can't you can't compare anybody to Lin.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Lin was a shooting star, the likes that you've only seen in maybe in other sports, Fernando Valenzuela and you know things like that. Lin, other guys doing it, it's just not the same as Jeremy Lin doing it.
Okay. Okay. What about the fact that Obi did this in the Garden, and the Garden was electric? We don't count that one.
I think well, the Garden is an electric place, you
Okay.
know, for one and all. Remember that? Remember when Ringling Brothers and Barnaby Bailey Circus used to be in town, and the
Yeah.
slogan was for one and all ages.
Yeah.
da, da, da. You know, that's what the Garden. That's always been the allure of the Garden. That's what the
Right.
Garden gives you. You know, that's why, you know, players, you know, enemies, they come there and they want to do their best things there
Right.
and so forth. So I never worry about, you know, what kind of juice the Garden can give. You know, we've seen it, you know, Larry Johnson's shot in the Garden. It's
In the
probably
Garden.
one of the most electric, loudest moments that in unison, the electricity blew the roof off the joint. Like it was just that powerful.
Right.
That many people. He hits that shot, and every Knicks fan in the city and everywhere that's watching that game, you know, lost it.
Right. 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 I feel you. Man, listen, I feel you on that. And the obvious, okay, so the obvious games at the Garden, you could point to the Bernard King game. I forget how many points Bernard King scored, bro, but it seemed like Bernard King was on pace to score 100 points.
I think he scored 49 or something like that.
Okay. The Kobe Bryant game, you knew you were watching something special. That Kobe game. I think Kobe wound up with, it felt like 70, it might have been 50. Right. Let me check just to make sure.
I think he had 61.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant had 61 on Groundhog's Day 2009.
Yeah.
And Carmelo had 62 in January of 2014.
Right.
Right. Man, James Harden had 61 January of 2019.
Yeah. James Harden's was easy. His was really, really easy.
So I think I was okay. Bernard King on Christmas Day, 1984, scored 60 points in the Garden.
Right.
It seemed like that dude was gonna score 100 points, bro.
I mean, you know, he didn't shoot threes, so his scoring prowess comes from, you know, 15 footing in, jab step, you know, turnaround, post, you know what I mean, wing, fast break, you know.
Right.
If he took a 3-pointer once a week, that might have been a lot.
It would have been too much. Right.
If he took a 3-pointer once a week, that wasn't in his game. That wasn't a part of his game.
Right.
So imagine if he was shooting threes, let's say on the same amount like a Carmelo.
Okay.
Imagine Bernard was shooting threes like that and added that component to his game, or the game was going like his numbers are. You're talking about another 5,000 points maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe more.
Oh, definitely, no doubt. And we talk about 5,000 points over the course of a career, right? So for those, you know,
that's what the 3-ball does. So his scoring, you know, him dropping 60 on Christmas Day was totally different, and they lost.
Right.
And they lost.
And that goes to show you, like the Christmas Day game for the Knicks is special, Bernard King is special, but it's the same old Knicks. Same old Knicks, bro.
Yeah. At the end of the day, not being able to capitalize on, you know, positivity.
Right.
Being that, again, since we said this last week and the week before, we in the month of August, the born month of you know, the great Patrick Ewing.
Right.
And so this morning I started watching, you know, Game 5 against Boston in 89-90 season. That's when Stu Jackson was coaching.
Oh,
That team, or when they ran into Boston, the Knicks had lost some 26 games in a row in Boston Garden.
yeah.
Right? They finally, climb Mount Everest, get to the next round. They lose to Detroit, whatever. But that team was kind of like, the Knicks of a couple of seasons ago that finish in the 4th seed that get to the playoffs. And after the season, the moves are nothing. They do nothing to take advantage of the positive that they had during the playoffs, or that led to the playoffs. Because one team actually won a round and one team won a game.
Right. Man, bro, this whole thing. As I thought about this during the week, I was thinking maybe it's our time to uncover just like a one-off guy that had a great game. Maybe it's what I'm saying, the opportunity for us to give Clyde Frazier some love for Game 7, the Willis Reed game, right? Even though Clyde Frazier was a star, but people will remember the Willis Reed game for Willis Reed, right? They don't remember the Willis Reed game because of what Clyde Frazier did. Even though Clyde Frazier, that's probably the greatest game in Knicks history for an individual player.
But that's the magnitude of not necessarily Willis, but the magnitude of a big,
right,
of a center at that time in the game.
Right.
Your center is Paul Bunyan.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your center comes, he swings an axe and 100 trees drop, because that's the game was built around the center.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If that was Walt coming out the tunnel, it's not the same effect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Walt is all 6'3", 6'4".
Right.
You know what I mean? 190 pounds. Willis is 6'10", 6'9", 6'10".
Big tough dude. Yeah.
It fits the theatrics.
Right. And then I don't know if Marv Albert was on the call. Was that Marv Albert on the call? Because I watched it, or I watched the replay because I don't remember the game. I was too little.
There's a couple of versions of that. That the Marvin Gaye one, and there's another one with another ABC gentleman that was doing it. I think even Howard Cosell was there. That's just a famous, iconic moment.
Right.
When you see him come out of the tunnel and he comes out in the warm-ups.
Yeah.
And he's ready to go.
Right.
He's ready to go.
I know ABC played that game for years.
Yeah.
ABC on Wild Willis, they played that game for years, man. In the downtime, they would just play that game. Because the game itself was iconic. Just the status of it, Game 7, blah blah blah. But the actual game that was played was a great game. You could tell the Lakers were.
It's a great game for us. If you're looking at Lakers fans, and I heard what's the name say this about Wilt, and I love I didn't see him play obviously, but just his mythical presence and his assault on the record books, just made me a fan. But Wilt is healthy. Willis is not healthy, and Wilt does not take advantage of him.
Right.
Kid, I'm giving you the business.
Yeah.
All of that right there, all of that, you coming out, fans are screaming, da 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 da.
Right.
That's nice. But you're gonna have to guard all of this on one leg.
Right.
You have to guard all of this on one leg. And that's the part right there that, you know, with Wilt, it's like, well, why didn't you take advantage of that? Like, why didn't the coach have a game plan? Like, the moment you see him coming, okay, it's fine if you say you don't know he's not going to play. But the moment you see Willis come out of the tunnel, okay, Willis is going to play. If I'm the coach, all I'm doing is looking at Wilt. Go get him.
Right. Right. Right.
You want to play? Okay. But instead of doing that, it went the opposite.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because Clyde said that when Willis hit the floor, he said Wes and Baylor and Wilt, they all was looking like in awe.
In awe of him.
In awe of him.
And honestly, those three players had better careers than Willis Reed. Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and Wilt Chamberlain had better careers than Willis Reed. Now, that's not to diminish Willis Reed. That's not to diminish Willis Reed, right?
That just is what it is.
It is
Those
what it is.
Players, it is what it is. Those three players are way more talented players, whatever. But
yeah, and for those that don't know Elgin Baylor, think about this. I'm gonna kind of summarize. I'm gonna give you today's version of those players, right? So Elgin Baylor is the forerunner of your Michael Jordan shooting guard, wing player, scoring machine. That's Elgin Baylor, right? Jerry West is your 6'3" deep shooting sniper scoring machine.
And
scoring from anywhere.
Don't forget to say these two things about Elgin. Elgin is all a 6'5".
Yeah.
All a 6'5".
Yeah.
Go look at his rebounding numbers.
Right.
Like think Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Think Charles Barkley. Go look at him. When I heard his rebound, when I saw his rebounding numbers for a man that size, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So when I asked my 7'1", freshly paid $60 million center to get me 10 rebounds, I got Knicks fans out here. I'm so serious. I got Knicks fans out here. Yo, but AD, he's good on the offensive rebounds and he dunks real nice. I'm like, okay, that's great. But you're 7'1". Can you get me 10 every night?
Right.
I don't think I'm asking too much.
In 30 minutes a game, can you just get me one rebound every 3 minutes? Every 3 minutes, grab me one rebound. Can you do that?
Yes.
Every 3 minutes, just grab one rebound. Can you just do that? No. What? And you 7'1" with a 40-inch vertical. It boggles my mind, bro. It boggles my mind.
In comparison to those guys, Elgin Baylor, I'm like, my God, he's ridiculous. His numbers as a rebounder for his size is ridiculous.
Right. No doubt. This dude, man, Elgin Baylor could flat out score. His rebounding numbers are impressive, bro. His rebounding numbers are impressive. For his career, he averaged 13.5 rebounds a game and 4 assists. Right?
Yeah.
But oh my God, man. I thought he was 6'6", like 215.
No.
This thing has him listed at 6'5", 225. Either way.
Oh, I thought he was like the way they talked about him, I'm thinking he like Doc.
Right.
6'7", something like that. Maybe even taller. No. He listed 6'5", so more like 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, 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 yeah.
They doing 6'5" in Chuck Taylor's Chuck
Yeah,
Taylor,
yeah, yeah.
Chuck Taylor's 6'5".
My uncle said he jumped in the air one time and he went to the bathroom and my uncle went to the bathroom because he was drinking beer. He's like, man, I love them garden beers. They be watered down and expensive. But I saw El Jabella jump in the air and I drank me a beer and went to the bathroom. You know the line in the bathroom be long at the garden. Just him telling the story right. He said he came back in. He came back to his row to sit down. He's like, El Jabella was still in the air. He's like, El Jabella was still in the air. He's like, hey, El Jabella was like, yo, I'll just wait here for you to get back. What? These dudes.
How they didn't break more ankles and have more PCL, MCLs back then.
Right.
Is amazing.
It's amazing to me, right?
It's amazing. Because when you look at what they got on their feet, they got on the same things that we got on as kids. Them little pro kids, Chuck Taylors, them little cloth sneakers.
No ankle support.
No ankle support.
Right.
Oh, you got on Converse cloth sneakers, and you taking off in those.
How? That's why when I look back at like the Dr. J's and the David Thompsons of the world. Oh, AD, listen, man, I want to get to something, right? I want to mention something to you. So this week we did the old school draft. I don't know if you.
Yes, I saw that. Look, and I mentioned it on some other show. Look, for the mere fact that you had somebody on that team that drafted Charlie Ward, okay, says something about the credibility of that draft, Breezy.
I know.
I don't think you should ever rebroadcast that draft, Breezy.
Man, did you see my draft though?
I thought it was Charlie Ward's cousin who did it. So I went looking for the name. I'm like, well, if it's Charlie Ward's cousin who drafted him, it makes sense because it's Charlie Ward's cousin. So of course you're going to draft Charlie Ward.
Right.
No, I saw your draft up until I couldn't take it anymore after that. When I realized that I couldn't watch anymore. I had to stop watching.
I understand what you, bro. So there was some picks made. I had to scratch. RJ Barrett being drafted. Boggles my mind.
No.
Right. So let me just name a few people that I thought probably shouldn't be drafted. It makes me laugh.
No.
Right? So Charlie Ward shouldn't have been drafted. Gilbert Arenas, Brandon Roy. What RJ Barrett? What are we doing? Andre Iguodala. You talking about the top 100, the top 120 players of all time, right? The time. So I made some questionable draft picks. Like I had the last pick in that draft, and I drafted Durant and Steph Curry back to back because I had the 12th pick. So at 12 and 13, I picked Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. But I finished that roster with Charles Barkley, Dwayne Wade, Alex English, Clyde Drexler, Karl Anthony Towns, Moses Malone, Donovan Mitchell, Peja Stojakovic, Alonzo Mourning, and my last draft pick was Mark Jackson. Right?
Let me say this in defense for Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas, there was a time, at least for a 3 to 4 year stretch, where Gilbert Arenas was absolutely box office. Have to watch.
Revolutionized the game. Yep.
Sending teams home on a nightly basis.
Yep.
If he was within 3 points and the game was on the line, book it. Like he was doing it. He went from Gilbert Arenas to Agent Zero to Hibachi.
Right.
Remember that? Remember that nickname? Hibachi.
Hibachi.
That's how
because he could get hot in an instant and stay
he can
hot.
get hot in an accent in a New York minute. He could absolutely
and stay hot. Yep.
And stay hot.
Yeah, that's why they called him Hibachi, because he would get hot and stay hot.
You had to pay attention. So, that's all I'm gonna say with that. Like he had a stretch. If Gilbert doesn't get hurt, if he doesn't get hurt, his career just stays in that trajectory of scoring dominance. Because if you like James Harden, you have to like Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah. If you like Steph Curry, you have to like Gilbert Arenas.
You have to like Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing. Gilbert Arenas had some tough injury seasons, right? And if he doesn't have those tough injury seasons towards the end of his career, like in Memphis, he averaged 4 points a game. Orlando, he averaged 8 points a game. Dallas, Washington, he averaged 10, right? And if he doesn't do that, this guy might be a Hall of Famer, bro.
I think he's a Hall of Famer now.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I think so.
You serious?
Yeah.
You think Gilbert Arenas is a Hall of Famer?
I think he's a Hall of Famer like I think Don Mattingly's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, Don Mattingly, bro.
Yeah.
David Wright is a Hall of Famer then.
No, because here's why.
Same career.
Here's why. At their peak, those three players right there, at their peak, 2 out of the 3 was the best at their position.
Okay.
And
all right.
And David Wright is not one of those 2.
Okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
See what I'm saying?
I'm with you. I'm with you on that, right? Here's the thing. How does Golden State, and I know this is old school Knicks, right? But how does Golden State give up on Gilbert Arenas and Vonteego Cummings? Remember that backcourt of Gilbert Arenas and Vonteego Cummings?
Right.
Vonteego Cummings I think he was out of Pittsburgh? Right. So you have a backcourt. You can't figure out who the point and who's the 2. Clearly, Arenas is a point guard that wanted to shoot, right? But Golden State doesn't like point guards that like to shoot. I mean, come on, Golden State. You don't like point guards that like to shoot. I mean, you didn't like Tim Hardaway. I mean, come on. Who played point guard for Golden State and liked to shoot more than Tim Hardaway? Right? You want to get you're not comfortable with Gilbert Arenas? You comfortable with Monte Ellis?
Bad management.
Yeah, I can't figure that one out. For the life of me. So they had a backcourt.
That's the same management that had the same kind of loophole contract for Chris Webber and let Webber get out of the deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
They let Gilbert Arenas, same thing, like a couple years later. They gave Gilbert like the same contract. They let Gilbert get out of the deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he was a second round pick,
right? What you're gonna have to do for me to let go of a 21-year-old Chris Webber? I'm just gonna let him just walk out of his contract.
Yeah, they bugging.
I'm going to scorch the earth.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Every single person that was a part of that decision-making process, if I'm the owner, I'm going to personally fire you.
Yep. I'm not gonna send my mans to do it. I gotta do this on my own.
This is where fans gotta understand, and I know we're varying with ownership, why ownership has to pay tabs on his product. Because if you give some clown total autonomy and sign off on a deal like that lets Chris Webber out of the deal and he can sign with someplace else, and you didn't know about that, he's like a quarter of the value of your property, of your product. He's the reason why people are coming in the seats. How would you not know? Why would you allow someone to do something like that?
That was crazy. That was it. So Gary St. Jean was the GM.
How does he ever get a job again?
I don't know. I don't. So Vonteco Cummings was there before Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah. And then a couple of years later, you do the same thing with Gilbert Arenas. You let him slide to Washington. Right. A 22-year-old that got that kind of talent.
Right.
Anyone could see that he had an abundance of talent.
Right.
And you let that go.
Yeah, the talent was never the issue. Disorderly, confusion was the issue with Golden State at that time, in my belief. Right. That's what I'm saying. And I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna make you laugh. But I'm gonna say it anyway. I think Emmanuel Quickly is on that career arc. Gilbert Arenas.
Here's the thing, though, and I know some fans will take that position, right? Golden State lost those players for nothing.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? We're not opening the door and showing Quickly the way out. Quickly's possibly going to be in a deal for a dude who's possibly going to be a Hall of Fame.
Right.
How do I feel? How can I ever look if Quickly has a great career going forward? God love you.
Right. Right.
I can't feel bad about that.
Right.
I can't look back and go, wow, if we'd only kept him. Yeah, Donovan, you were good, but maybe Quickly would have been. Huh?
No, we ain't doing that. No.
And that's what too many Knicks fans get into. This hold on with their young. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be able to evaluate basketball talent from your organization and to other organizations. Doesn't mean because you drafted them mean that they're gonna play 15 years for your organization. Everybody's not gonna be Ewing.
Right. Okay. Now I feel you. Right. But what I'm getting at with the Quickly thing though is I think we need to evaluate Quickly for what he is, like what you said, right? And figure out how that fits in the future. Because if that can fit in your future plans, then you keep him out of everything, right? But if it's one of those deals one of those situations where you are weighing Donovan Mitchell versus everything, then I can see why they could stumble down and fall for Quickly, right? But if you could offer something else, because Quentin Grimes has not showed you he could be Gilbert Arenas, even though Quentin Grimes and Gilbert Arenas are the same size. Quentin Grimes and Gilbert Arenas are the same size, right? What does Gilbert Arenas offer you as a player at 23, 24, whereas what Grimes offers you?
Well, here's the thing with that. Gilbert came in as a scoring point guard from out of what was Arizona?
Arizona.
Right. There's no confusion as far as who who he was going to be in the NBA. Quentin Grimes comes in the NBA as a guy that used to play point guard in high school, went to college on a scholarship to play point guard, and somehow shifted to shooting guard, came to the Knicks as a shooting guard, and all of a sudden in the second off season, they start trying him out at point guard, to see what he can do. That's the difference.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's the total difference. And again, you're mentioning, let's say you don't do a Donovan trade, right?
Okay.
And you got all your pieces.
Right.
You, Uncle Freezy,
right.
Where do you find minutes for Quickly and Grimes?
If you don't do the Donovan Mitchell trade.
Right.
I think Quickly gets the same amount of minutes. Because basically it's the same thing in theory. You're gonna give Jalen Brunson the minutes that Alec Burks got last year, right? So you're talking about like 30 plus minutes, right? So now you got Brunson and Fournier starting. Are you gonna play Fournier 30 plus minutes, 28 minutes? That's interesting. Are you gonna play RJ? Are you gonna play RJ 34 minutes a game?
You have, see, my point to this question is that those two players right there virtually play the same position.
RJ and Fournier.
RJ and Fournier,
right.
Quickly and Grimes.
Right.
These are, you basically got the Wonder Twins twice. Same thing. Right?
Right. Right.
Now add in Derrick Rose. Where do you find minutes? See, this is what I'm trying to explain to Knicks fans. Where do you find minutes? You know, you got to earn minutes. Yeah, no doubt. Look how many guys I just mentioned, though.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I didn't mention Brunson, right? I didn't mention RJ. And I mentioned 5 other guys.
It's a lot. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of players.
For 2 positions.
So Golden State had that same dilemma.
Okay.
Golden State had that same dilemma with Gilbert Arenas. And with me looking at their roster, and when I looked at their roster, I saw they had multiple dudes that needed minutes, right? So Bobby Sura is a rotation player. Jason Richardson was a starter, right? Then you have Earl Boykins, Gilbert Arenas. So maybe not to that extent, but I remember Boykins being a player, Dunleavy being a player, Guyton not so much, but he played, right? Chris Mills out of Arizona played. Jason Richardson was definitely a solid starter.
Was Boykins a player or a novelty?
I would say I'm gonna say he was a player. I'm gonna say a player because if he was 6'3", he'd have been legit, right? But if he was just 5'5" and fast, if he was just like the circus act in ring number 2, then nah. But I think he was a decent player, right? I think height had a lot to do with him not being like, because if you ask me, like, would I rather have Earl Boykins or TJ Ford? Earl Boykins, right?
See, here's my thing with, and this is no disrespect to small guys. when you're going for a championship team, it's very hard to have to compensate for the fact that their lack of size on defense.
Right.
For as much as Muggsy Bogues is a dog and whatever, if you are a serious contender, whatever, how can he be your starting point guard and play the majority of your minutes? He's a serious liability in certain parts of the game because you don't have to worry about seeing over him. You got to worry about bringing the ball up the court. Right? Because from where he starts from, and even offensively.
Right.
Are you running pick and roll with him? Who's he seeing over?
I get your point. And you're talking about, and he played during the era of OD tall point guards, right? I just mentioned Gilbert Arenas was 6'4". Nowadays, point guards, the good ones are not 6'4" anymore. These dudes are like Steph Curry, 6'2", D Rose is 6'2", Damian Lillard is 6'2". Yeah, man. Hey, I got man. Okay, so I got a dude coming in to do a repair. So, AD, I can only rock for like a few more minutes before this dude come in
All right.
and check up the house, man. My bad. I thought he was gonna be coming later, but whatever.
That's cool, son. That's cool. It's always a pleasure to kick it and do what we do when we do it, no matter how much time that we have to do it. So that's not a thing.
Playback Carter says a neck injury ended TJ career. He was nice. Nah, TJ Ford ended he struggled early on in his career, right? And it was, I think his thing was not from being slight, but being not NBA strong. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be 6'1" or 6 foot, right? But if somebody bumped you, like they do Obi, like when have you seen Obi Toppin dunk on somebody? Like I was asked, who's the better in-game dunker, Obi Toppin or Darryl Dawkins? It's definitely Darryl Dawkins.
Yeah,
it's definitely Darryl, because Darryl Dawkins was gonna look your big man in the eye and challenge him at the rim.
Yeah, he has. Obi's is a quicker leaper, obviously.
Quicker,
you know, but Darryl's power. That was power, and he would take you through the basket.
Right.
No one has yet to jump in the way. We don't know if he can do it just yet, because really and truly, no one has really, jumped in the way of him, going upstairs.
But this is but nowadays this is the era of, if you got it, you can have it. Back then,
yeah,
everything was contested at the rim, bro. It don't matter if you was late. It didn't matter if you was late. You still, you know what I'm saying? Nowadays, you got me. Okay, you can have it.
You still had to get in the picture. You had to get in the picture.
Because your teammates wouldn't respect you, and fans neither.
You had to get in the picture. You had to try.
I saw Bill Cartwright get dunked on by Charles Barkley 7 times in 2.5 quarters. Bill Cartwright, I'm like, what? I saw that. I was like, oh God.
I saw, and we could rock with this for a second. I saw MJ dunk on the entire Atlanta Hawks team.
Yep.
On the entire Atlanta Hawks team, and looked at Tree Wallace like, dude, you should be retired, my guy. Like, he hit him with like a Smitty, hits the lane. Tree Rollins, Willis, Battle, whoever else, the coach, Fratello, everybody was in the picture.
John Contract, everybody in the picture.
Everybody was in the picture.
Yeah.
Everybody's in the picture.
Yeah, man. And if this is the game, if you're referring to the game in the Omni, if this is the game you're talking about in the Omni, where Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins were competing for the scoring title, at the beginning of the season. This is like a December, January game.
Right.
So Dominique Wilkins in that same game shoots an 18-footer and hits the front of the rim and hits the backboard. And you see 4 Chicago Bulls boxing out. And Dominique skies over everybody and puts it home with 2 hands and hang on him. And I'm like, if this is NBA basketball going forward, I could subscribe to this.
When you got a guy like that on your team, Freezy, that also knows how to play basketball, that's the makings of a superstar.
Right.
That's the makings of someone that's gonna drive fear in your heart because on a nightly basis, because nobody wants to be on a poster like that.
Ever.
See what I'm saying? It's not an accident that those kind of athletically gifted guys get their just due every night.
Right. Right. And this is the era that you're talking about is when you used to buy expensive sneakers. Like when you got to the register and the lady said, that'd be $57.42. You like, good God, what comes with this? And and then she slid the shoestrings in the bag, some fat shoelaces, and a poster, right? Right, in a poster. You get like you remember the Converses, right, in Jersey City down on Journal Square. The Converses, like if you got the Magic Johnson Converses, the yellow, the white with the yellow and purple trim, it came with the purple fat shoelaces. I'm sorry, the white fat shoelaces in a poster of Magic, right? And if you got the Larry Bird ones, the same shoe, right? Just in black and white for the Celtics. You know what I'm saying? You got like the fat shoelaces and the Larry Bird poster shooting over somebody, right? And so, but on those posters, you would see defenders being humiliated.
Yeah.
Right. And so when nowadays with Obi doesn't dunk on anybody, and dudes is not even contesting. So now you like, dang, dudes don't contest, and you still not catching bodies.
No, dudes is not contesting. His dunks to date have been more, gymnastic worthy. You could watch him, appreciate his athletic ability type of things. He hasn't really caught it on anybody. But
Darryl Dawkins though.
But they're coming. There's always going to be, Sean Kemp on Alton Lister. There's always going to be something like that. There's always going to be something like Amari on Swole Mile Swift.
Oh my God! Both super athletes in their prime. Two big power forwards with explosive hops.
Oh, when you got a guy like that, and your GM or your whoever your team evaluator is like, look, he's a little raw in offensive sets, this, that, and third. He doesn't know certain concepts right now, but he's unstoppable. You have to pay attention. You got to take a look at this kid. Like, how does Amari Stoudemire fall to what? Where did he fall to? 9, 10?
11? I think he was in 11. I think he was in the 2000.
The 10 teams in front of you. What did you not to the Knicks specifically? What did Sweetney have that made you think he was that?
Oh my God.
Like Sweetney shows up to meet you during the draft combine practice. You give him a uniform. You see what he looks like in his uniform. What make you think by opening day he was going to transform to something other than that?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted, bro, and not disgusted because man,
sheer principality alone, what would make you think that drafting Sweetney would be wise? See, if I can have a conversation with Layden, like, look, explain that part of your job when you drafted this dude.
Please.
How was you gonna get him into shape? He was already like 50 pounds overweight.
Already.
How was you gonna drop 50 pounds off of him to see what he can do skill wise?
Right. Right. And why would you invest that much time in that anyway? Right. I just can't. Sometimes the moves we made, bro, I get so frustrated when I hear them like spoken out loud. Right. Like,
you can't have. Remember, I think it was last week or the week before we talked about when all of a sudden they fired everybody and they left general manager Ed Tapscott in charge.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He's one of those general managers that we never think about, but for a short period in Knicks history, Ed Tapscott was the interim general manager who drafted Frederick Weiss.
Oh my God.
Okay? How does that happen to a team that's worth so much money that you could ever have
somebody speak at the wheel? Basically,
yeah.
Somebody speak at the wheel.
An interim dude, you know, for such a prized possession, you could ever just take it willy-nilly and be like, hey Ed, yo, go down to the draft tonight. Go sit in.
Yeah, like, hey man, what you doing later on? Man, I ain't doing nothing. I was gonna go grab a bit. Nah, man, just go draft somebody, man, and go home.
Yeah, just go draft somebody real quick.
Oh my God, man. What?
Just go draft somebody real quick. Let's go down there. Yo, let's go down there. We're gonna have a couple of beers afterwards. You know, Dolan and the Red Hot, whatever is gonna be uptown. We're gonna all go up there. That's how they handled that process.
Oh my God, man. I was looking at okay, while you was mentioning that, I looked at the Mike Sweetney draft. And I'm thinking the Mike Sweetney draft pick wasn't so bad after I saw all the names. You know what I'm saying? Because for real talk, I was looking at the names after Mike Sweetney, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. So with the number 9 pick in the NBA draft, think about now. Okay, stop me if you heard this before. With the top 10 pick in the NBA draft, the New York Knicks select some draft bust. Stop me if you heard that before, right? At number 9, we take Kevin. I'm sorry, Frank Ntilikina, Obi Toppin, Mike Sweetney, some John Thomas. John Thomas. Oh no, who's the kid we drafted after Steph Curry?
Thomas something Thomas.
Yeah, I see his face, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah, something Thomas. I can't remember.
He was definitely that memorable. But check this out. After Mike Sweetney, though, this is the rest of the draft. Jarvis Hayes, Michael Petrus, Nick Collinson, Marcus Banks, Luke Ridnour, Reese Gaines, Troy Bell, Zarko something, David West, Sasha Pavlovich, Dante Jones, Boris Diaw, Zoran something, Travis Outlaw, Brian Cook, Carlos Delfino, in Foodie something, Kendrick Perkins, Leandro Barbosa, Josh Howard. That draft,
definitely not a memorable draft.
Right.
As far as, you know, top tier talent.
Right.
You know, as far as but Freezy, we've talked about this before. Every year, Freezy, you're gonna have that. You're gonna have it. It's your job to pick out the PHs. It's your job to get the Leandro Barbosas.
The David West.
It's your job. You can't go back and say, well, you know, there was only 7 players here. No. There's players all over the world. every year.
Every year.
That's why we're worth what we're worth. That's why you spent all this money on scouting, on department, this and the third. It's for you. I was watching LeBron. No. Is it LeBron or is it KD? One of these guys. They got a show on Netflix with Adam Sandler, plays like a sports agent.
LeBron, yeah, hustle.
Right. Right? And his job, he's working for the Philadelphia 76ers. And his job, the concept of his job, I'm like, yo, that's what I've been talking about all this time. Like, he's supposed to go out and come back and tell us, we better get this kid.
Right.
When is the last time we had any of that?
Games in Porzingis. But before that, no.
Yeah. When's the last time you really had somebody that you got a pipeline to international scouting that's like, yeah, like this dude is, he's not Ntilikina, he's this.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that point that you made is excellent. I think that's thoughtful and excellent. That point that you just made. Not because that we making the points here, but in terms of company building, you always want to hire the best talent and have team chemistry. Those are the two things you want: team chemistry and excellent talent. Right? In any organization, you want to have the most talented people and have them with the ability to get along and work together. That's what you want, right? My deal is the Knicks didn't have that because we felt like it's New York. Everybody want to play here. It's New York, baby. Everybody want to come to New York, but in actuality, it's New York, baby. Nobody want to come here. Right, and so if that is true, then you have to do just what Anthony D said. You got to turn over. There should be no rock left unturned.
No,
right? There should be no shortage of workouts for the Knicks. The Knicks should be working out everybody to find talent.
Absolutely.
And each player on the roster should go to work every day feeling like if I don't give 100%, somebody else can take my job.
Yeah.
But we don't have that.
Yeah, and that starts from the person you put in place who has that vision. You see,
right.
The one thing that Jordan can never say about Krause, the late Jerry Krause, is that Krause didn't know what he was doing.
Oh, I thought you was gonna say Krause turned down a meal. I thought you was gonna say Jerry Krause turned down a meal. No, he didn't. No, Jerry just wouldn't
listen to them. He just wouldn't listen to them.
Right.
Like they come to the office, yo, draft this dude, draft my buddy. I played with him in North Carolina, whatever. Krause be like,
yeah, right. But those orders came down from Reinsdorf. Like we are not the Knicks. No matter how many championships we win, they don't have to win. We have to operate in the confines of a budget. So
and this is my guy.
Right. And so instead of going to get Dominique Wilkins and Chris Mullin and Mark Price to play with Jordan, we gotta sign Craig Hodges. From the Milwaukee Bucks. We gotta groom BJ Armstrong out of Iowa. We gotta play Jim Paxson. We gotta play Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
Right? Because if y'all want money, because it's only a certain amount of money, and if y'all want it, that means I can't give that money to somebody else.
Yeah, right? but he knew, but him as an owner, he doesn't know anything about basketball, right? But he knows this. I trust this guy right here.
Right.
And whenever
you mean Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause.
Yeah. And
Reinsdorf said he trusted Krause. Right.
Yeah, I trust this guy right here. And whenever you try and circumvent him, I'm going to always reroute y'all back to this dude.
Back to him, right?
Back to him. And when y'all go talk to him, whatever, He just
He gonna
yeah,
listen.
he don't look like much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he may be, his mannerisms may not be the kind of person you want to invite to your house or whatever. I don't pay him for that.
Right.
I don't pay him for that.
Right.
I pay him to know this basketball thing. And when he was in that position to know this basketball thing, there was no better general manager at that time better than Krause.
I think he's the greatest GM ever.
There was none. At that time right there, there was none.
I think he's the greatest GM ever. I take him over Red Auerbach.
No, I'm not taking him over Red.
I got to.
I'm not taking him over Red.
I have to.
I'm not taking him over Red, but he didn't draft Jordan. He just knew what to do with Jordan.
Talking about Krause, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now he didn't draft Jordan. So I'm not saying
he just knew what to do with him.
Right.
He just knew
but Chicago was in a no lose situation. Right? Because think about it, if you don't take Jordan at 3 and you take Barkley, did you really lose?
No.
Right? And that 85 draft was so deep that you couldn't lose. Right? Because think about it, if Chicago doesn't take Jordan or Barkley and they take Chris Mullin, do they lose? If Chicago don't take Mullin, Barkley, or Jordan and take John Stockton.
Well, two different drafts. No, 2 different drafts. That's 2 different drafts. Jordan's in the 84.
Oh yeah. Right.
Those 2 different drafts.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
If Jordan and Barkley's in the same draft, but if they don't take Jordan and they take Barkley, do they lose? No, to that point, no. I mean, no, you don't lose. But it's not an if game once you've destroyed your franchise for 10 years.
Okay.
You see what Portland did, their franchise wasn't destroyed, but their franchise wasn't able to get over the hump in the West because they didn't have that firepower, that extra firepower to get past the Lakers.
Okay.
To get past Dallas at that time. But that's when you got pieces like that and you don't use it properly, like, remember this. I think we touched on this before. Washington once had Webber, Juwan Howard, and Rasheed Wallace on the same team.
And Ben Wallace.
But Ben at that time was he was so raw.
He was Jericho Sims.
He's Jericho Sims, right. Yes, think Jericho Sims. But look at the forward talent that they had in the city of Washington, and they did not know what to do with that.
Right.
They didn't know whether they should play them together. They didn't know whether to trade them. They didn't know what to do with that till finally the pieces just started. And now you don't have a surplus anymore. Now you don't have nothing.
Right. No, I get it. I get what you're saying. The point that I was making about Krause though is Krause knew that if he wanted to keep Jordan, right, he had to surround him because Jordan was a generational talent. So let's make that clear off the rip. Jordan from day one, as soon as he put on those red shorts, it was like, oh my God. We thought Reggie Theus could score, but this dude can score and wants to win more than he wants to breathe air. And that's rare.
It took all of one practice.
Right.
It took all one practice.
In his prime, and for those that don't know, people say Jordan is the GOAT, but they never watched Jordan. Just imagine a 6'6" guy with David Thompson type hops, 46-inch vertical, right? But he is cat quick like Allen Iverson, right? And he's stronger than his contemporaries like Reggie Miller.
Yep.
Right? And he's durable. Like you never saw Jordan be hurt and miss a game. You saw Jordan be injured and miss a game. But you never saw Jordan play. Jordan was like, oh, Jordan, Mike's gonna miss this game. He, flu-like symptoms. Michael Jordan played through flu-like symptoms and was clutch one time.
Yep.
Scottie Pippen had to help him to the bench. But what I'm getting to about Krause knowing this, said, hey, we can't spend all this money on first-round picks that we have to wait 3 years on. What we'll do is we'll package some of these picks and save money and go get a guy like Robert Parrish, right? We'll go get a John Sally. Those are our rivals. Those were our rivals in the 80s, but we'll bring them here and have them play for us. I remember one time their backup center situation looked like Krause took every starting center from the 80s that they played against and put them on. They had James Edwards.
Yes.
They had Robert Parrish.
Yep.
And then at forward they had John Sally.
John Sally, Cliff Livingston.
Yes. Everybody that they beat, he went to them and said, hey, I'm gonna pay you less money, but you can win a ring. You remember how frustrated you were in Atlanta? Y'all couldn't get by us. Come here.
Come here. Win a ring.
Play, and you'll be remembered.
Oh,
go ahead, bro. My bad.
Look at that irony right there, right? Or I'm about to say a situation that's an irony. At the time when he came back, he wanted Jason Williams from the Nets to come play with him before Rodman, right?
Yep.
Sometimes I often think about if Jason Williams had went with Jordan and them in Chicago, if he had gotten into that trouble that he got into eventually.
I know what you're talking about.
Being in Germany.
I would say yes, but no at the same time. Like, would Jordan have changed his ways? Nah, probably not. But could Jason Williams get him out of stuff? Yes. Yeah, that's what I would say. And that has less to do with Jordan and more to do with Jason Williams if you follow the Jason Williams story.
Yeah, it was one of those things with that guy because he was a St. John's guy. So I know Jason Williams and St. John's players. Right. But he kept getting into trouble. He had like little things off the court, but he was such a likable guy.
He was so charismatic. That's the point that I was going to get.
He was a likable dude, right? But just like to party too much and But I thought about that. I'm like, what if he had went with Jordan and stuff? Like, we have, been more focused at that time, because keep it a buck. You're playing with the Nets at that time. Who's really serious about playing with the Nets at that time?
No, but back then they had back. So it makes me laugh. I like to joke about Brooklyn, but back then they had two centers that were absolutely garbage. They had one who was an athletic freak that didn't know basketball, and Yinka Dare. You remember Yinka Dare?
Yinka the stinker. God rest your soul.
Yeah, he was an athlete. Yes. He was an athlete. He was just raw. He didn't know. Is this basketball?
They drafted him like number 14 or something like that. Right. He was like a mid first round pick, if memory serves me correctly. But Yinka was just so raw. He was just so raw, but he was all man. Like, Yinka be the dude you want to be in an alley fight with.
Right. And then the irony is his backup was a very skilled, high IQ dude that was the worst athlete you ever saw in your life, and Dwayne Shinsis. You remember Dwayne Shinsis?
They went through the Nets. Oh my God. The Nets went through, as I'm thinking about it now, they went through Shinsis and they had Benoit Benjamin.
And Benoit Benjamin, yeah.
They had a few, Bowie. They ended up with Bowie at one point.
Yeah, Sam
They
Bowie.
had a few like horrible bigs that was never really. But the Yinka Dare draft, it was.
Right, what are y'all doing? Yinka Dare? But look, if you just go by workouts, if you like, hey, Yinka, dunk this basketball 10 times, he would be the most amazing looking dude dunking that basketball 10 times. But when you don't have basketball IQ, bro, you just don't know what you're doing.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And then Dwayne Shinsis, for those that don't know who Dwayne Shinsis is, Dwayne Shinsis is the center for the Knicks in that movie Eddie that played the Russian dude.
Yes.
That's Dwayne Shinsis, right? He's the dude that played the Russian guy.
Yeah. But I never understood. I'm trying to remember what was the hullabaloo around Dwayne Shinsis at that time? Because didn't he go to Florida? I think.
Yeah.
He went to Florida. I'm like, what was?
He was smart, bro. He could process the game faster than anybody.
Right.
But he was not an athlete.
Right. He looked like sloppy sandwich in his uniform. I remember.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, bro. He was just not. He was not an NBA athlete. He was not a high school athlete. But he could think the game. Like in an interview, if you talk to him about basketball, bro, he could break down stuff, and you'd be so impressed. You're like, I got to have this dude on the floor, right? But he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah. Who's the worst athlete we ever had at center? You remember?
At center?
Yeah, the worst athlete we ever had. I'm gonna say Jason Smith. Jason Smith. I would. Wow. Cole. That's a good question. Maybe Cole Aldridge.
Cole Aldridge is another. Yeah, Cole Aldridge was pretty bad. Wow.
See, Chris Dudley was not bad. He just couldn't score. If Chris Dudley could score a little bit,
was Dudley a good athlete though?
No, he was not a good athlete.
That's the question. He was not a good athlete.
But he was good. But he was a strong guy. He would screen the hell.
Man, look, tall. He was a. How tall was Dudley again? 6'10", 6'11"?
6'10", 6'11", something like that.
Something like that. Awkward as hell, but he gave effort.
Yeah, he played hard, bro.
He played hard.
And he would screen the hell out, man. The one thing about Dudley is for his lack of athleticism, he did a lot of other stuff right. Like he legit, you know what I'm saying, he was a decent post defender, right? I'm not going to say he David Robinson. I'm just going to say he was good down there. He wasn't great. He would screen the hell. If you needed screening in your game, Dudley was the guy because he wasn't scared of nobody. You know what I'm saying? And he would do it for as long as he would screen, bro. I saw the Knicks versus Celtics game. This is when the Celtics had fallen off. When the Knicks had like Dominique Wilkins, John Bagley, Dino Raja. That roster was the Celtics, but the Knicks won. But and this is the early '96, like '93. Man, Chris Dudley was screening them boys for the Celtics, and you could just see their souls get taken. Like they run into a Dudley screen and just fall on the ground and just pass out. Like, you know what I mean?
No, Dudley was a tough guy. It goes to show you that, with height could get you $1 million.
Right. Oh, I know it.
Height can get you $1 million.
John, that's John Contract. John Contract made a living.
No, I got him to be a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, like 3 different contracts, right? He they call him John Contract for a reason, because he would be trash for 2 seasons, and in that 3rd year when his contract about to be up, he would ball out, borderline all-star, and some sucker would fall for it.
I ain't never saw it.
Todd McCullough. Matt Geiger.
Yeah.
Bro, I mean, yeah.
At least Geiger was better than Contact, but
yeah.
You could beat the wall, and And I don't even mean 7 feet. I mean, you 6'9", 6'9", 6'10", 6'11". There's a place for you. There's a check for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. But the thing with Jerry Krause, going back to the Krause thing is Krause would cherry pick these guys and be like, listen, I can't pay you a lot of money, but what I can almost guarantee you is a ring. What is more valuable, $800,000 or this championship ring? And if you smart, you'll take these 1-in-1 contracts. Every year, I'm going to offer you a 1-year contract. I'm going to give you slightly more money than the previous year. But every year, you're going to have to wait until Mike and Scotty and everybody else figure it out. And then I'll come back to you. And you had to have faith in Krause that he was going to do exactly what he said. Come back to you, offer you a slightly below market value contract, and you could ride the bench for the Bulls and win a championship. Yo, Jet, what's it? Jet Haley? Is that the dude, Jack Haley from the Spurs?
Jack Haley. Yeah.
Yeah, man, come on, bro. I mean, yeah.
The beauty about their situation was they had Scottie Pippen under contract for a long term.
That was dumb by Scotty, though.
He signed, even when the owner told him not to lock himself into that, he still signed that deal.
Right.
So for the next, 6-7 years,
yeah,
they already knew what they were going to do because that money was already accounted for. Boom.
Right. Scotty was like the 300th highest paid player in the NBA at the end of his contract.
And he's a top 5 player, and he's like the end of the end paid, and they wouldn't renegotiate.
Right. They and they should because they told Scotty, they were like, yo, once we lock in, we're not revisiting.
Yeah.
They was like, yo, just wait till next year. But Scotty family in Arkansas, like people don't know that story. Like Scottie Pippen's father was sick and they needed money for medical bills, and they was paying him just over his rookie deal money. Right. And Scotty was like, yo, I got to get some bread. I got to take care of my family. It's my people that man, they dirt poor. And so Scotty, in that sense, I understand. Right. But what you gonna do, man?
Here's the thing though with that. And we don't know all of the ins and outs, but it stands to reason to me that if I have an NBA contract, right, I'm going to be able to repay whatever short loan that I may need for my family.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Who was it, this guy's financial advisors that told him, sign this deal versus let me go to some of these local banks and local people and let me show them that I have an NBA contract.
Right.
How do you lock yourself into something that financially it ruined him as far as his earning potential for like 6 or 7 years?
Right. And so I'm going to Mike. I'm like, Mike, listen, you got to get me a shoe deal. Right. Or something. I got to make up the money somewhere. And Scotty, for his credit, he did make up some of that money in his shoe deal because the Scottie Pippens during the 90s, bro. You probably owned the only off-brand shoes in the 90s that were knocking on the door with Jordan was those Scottie Pippens, the Grant Hills. Remember the Grant Hill Fila run, the Scottie Pippen and the Allen Iverson Reebok run, right?
Like keep it a buck, Feedy. This is why a lot of those guys were mad at them, or mad at him, for The Last Dance. He was the only one that was eating. Like him, Jordan loomed so large over everything and everyone. He was the only one that was eating.
Right.
He wasn't taking care of them.
Is that Jordan's fault?
It's not, but here's the thing though. Here's the thing. You don't win those championships without them.
I understand that.
Your legacy is tied to them.
Right.
Forever and ever.
Right.
Whatever you think about Horace Grant is one of the great defensive forwards to ever play this game.
Right. And he is what if I'm gonna say this. If the Knicks had Horace Grant instead of Charles Oakley, we have 3 NBA titles.
Whoa.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. 3 easy.
Mm.
90, 93, I'm sorry, 92, 93, I'm sorry, 93, 94, 95. I think that, in my opinion, the Knicks could not get any better during that time, 93, 94, 95, right? If you switch out Horace Grant with Charles Oakley, and I'm not bashing Oakley, but if you had a big man, because Horace Grant, to his credit, is a bigger man than Charles Oakley, right? At the same time, Horace Grant was not afraid to defend away from the basket. So if you had a guy like when Sean Kemp catches the ball on the perimeter, Oakley is not going out there. Oakley going to get that man about 10 feet, and Sean Kemp is going to knock down 18-footers all night, right? And I know that sounds crazy, right? Like, but Oakley was a good defender. Oakley was a great defender. The closer to the rim you got, the greater he was as a defender. Anything, if you had a big that could stretch, when Indiana put in Derek McKee or Detlef Schrempf, Charles Oakley ain't guarding no Detlef Schrempf on the perimeter. Or when they went with both Derek McKee and Schrempf, and he got caught in some type of cross match, whoever got Oakley was gonna eat, right? And we talking about the era in which power forwards got progressively better. This is the era of Kevin Garnett as a young player, Chris Webber as a young player, right? Charles Barkley in his prime years, right? I'm not saying Oakley was a bad player. I'm saying if we had a different player, I think we win championships.
Well, I think if we had him over Charles Smith, we win 3 championships. How about that?
Yeah, we can't make Charles Smith the scapegoat for everything, though. Charles Smith did a lot of things, man. Charles Smith was our athletic power forward that could play small forward, power forward, center. He could guard small forwards, power forwards, and centers. He could shoot from the outside a little teeny bit. He was an athlete, and he rebounded decently for a guy that was away from the rim a lot.
Here's the thing with Charles, though, Freezy. And every Knicks fan will agree to this. Charles Smith was not assertive enough.
Okay.
For that, okay. But that style of basketball, for that team, he was not assertive. Remember, when the Knicks make that trade, right? They're coming off of a Game 7 loss in Chicago in the previous season. They need more offense. Somewhere between the end of the season, negotiations break off with McDaniel. Whoever you believe, McDaniel says one thing, the Knicks said another thing.
McDaniel said it broke off in March. McDaniel said in March of that season, they just stopped talking.
Whatever.
Right. No, I feel you.
He signs with Boston. You know, the Knicks seemed like they were working on bringing Smith and McDaniel at the same time.
At the same time, right.
Right, because that trade that they made was they made an array of moves.
Right.
They got Glenn Doc Rivers, Bo Kimball, Charles Smith. What's the forward that was with the Lakers?
Tony Campbell,
Rolando Blackman
from Dallas.
They end up getting like 6-7 new guys from the team before.
Right.
Centered around Charles Smith being that second scorer to Ewing. And I understood that he was basically changing positions because they were force feeding him from a 4 to a 3. But he never grabbed the bull by the horns.
Right.
he was never assertive.
Right.
So to a certain degree, when the Knicks make a move like that, and it's one of their biggest trades in the history of the franchise, you expect for that trade to go your way.
Right. 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 And for those that don't know how good Doc Rivers was what, a 2-time All-Star, I think. Doc Rivers made the All-Star team twice, I think. I think he made the All-Star team in like 88 and maybe like 90 or something. So Doc Rivers was a good ball player. He was tough. Doc Rivers was part of that Chicago point guard lineage, right? Doc Rivers was up, but when he got here with us, why was Doc always hurt?
By the time he got here, Doc was no longer in his prime anymore.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
And they basically felt like Greg Anthony was going to be the starting point guard anyway.
Right.
But what they found out was Greg wasn't ready.
Right.
And Doc ended up being the starter. Doc wasn't. They didn't trade for Doc to come here as well. Doc was going to be a part of this, whatever. Doc was as a pieces to make the contracts and stuff move. And you know, he's a good
savvy veteran though. He was still a savvy veteran.
Yeah, he's still a savvy vet.
Yeah,
but
because he was playing with. He was with that young core and with the man. I always say young core. I hate the term young core, bro. Terry DeHare, Charles Smith, Michael Cage, with the Clippers, man.
Yeah.
And Michael Cage wasn't that young, but he was young enough.
Once they found out that Greg wasn't ready, it thrusted Doc into more of a prominent role as the point guard.
And what did Doc blew out his knee, right?
The following year,
Doc blew out his knee.
Yeah. In '94, Doc blows out his knee. The Knicks have to turn and pivot, which is a credit to Checkets in them that they was able to turn and pivot and get Harper.
Man, Derek Harper fed it. Man, look, Derek Harper, man. When I saw Derek Harper in that Knicks uniform, I was like, oh my God, what did we just get? Now, to his credit, he played his way into shape and rhythm with the Knicks, right? But when I first saw that number 11, I was like, oh my God, I never want to see the number 11 at point guard ever again.
You're right. I thought it was me. When he first got into, it's kind of like, remember when Raymond Felton first became a Knick?
Right.
You know, he wasn't as bad as Raymond Felton, but it was like, yo, Doc, what's going on? Like, you know, but by the time, you know, season rolls in, he was able to lose that weight and stuff.
Right. Derek Harper, and I think Derek Harper may have admitted it. I knew it the whole time. Derek Harper wasn't in high minutes. Derek Harper was not in starter shape. Because by the time we traded for Derek Harper, they already had Jason Kidd. And if anybody, if the name Jason Kidd is old school to you, then imagine Derek Harper. Right? Derek Harper playing all them years. Just Derek Harper, Rolando Blackman, Marcus Guaya, Roy Topley, all of that core that came up together. I hate the word AD. I hate the word core right now, bro. I hate it, bro.
Why?
I hate the word young core right now because people think young core means championship. You remember the core of Tom Chambers, Dale Ellis, Xavier McDaniel, Jack Sigma?
Absolutely.
You remember that? They ain't one that. You remember Terry Porter, Clyde Drexler, Jerome Kersey, Buck Williams? Remember how all of them was like 4th, 5th, and 6th year players?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, man.
Here's the thing, though, Frizzy. It gets you excited about the possibilities.
Oh,
and I get it, fans. I get it. It gets you excited. You can play fantasy GM. I get it. but it can also be dangerous because I'll give you another one. How many young cores did the Clippers have?
Oh my God.
They stayed having young cores.
The Knicks too.
But not as bad as the Clippers. The Clippers were so bad that when they drafted Danny Ferry refused to play there.
He refused to play there.
He went to overseas.
Yep.
They had to work out a trade, and Ferry ended up in, was it Cleveland?
In Cleveland.
Right.
In Cleveland. This is towards the end of Hot Rod Williams and Larry Nance's career.
To this day, one of NBA steals, I can't remember the totality of that trade, but the Clippers traded Ferry for like 4 first-round picks. Ron Harper was included. Mind you, Ron Harper at that time was like the second or third best shooting guard in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Ron Harper. And then once Ferry got to Cleveland, it was kind of like the Ralph Mouth episode of Happy Days when the coach tells him to go in the game and he zips down his clothes. He zips down his warmers and he got on street clothes.
Right.
Ferry became a professional and we got to see him up close.
Right.
From Duke, another one of these highly drafted guys.
Mike Jaminski.
Ferry was nowhere as good as Mike Jaminski. Let me try not to be disrespectful to a professional athlete. I'll just say that Ferry did not make the top great white hype guys. How about that?
No.
How about that? Is that fair?
And this is the era where Tom Chambers is dunking on people too now, by the way. This is the era where Tom. This is the era where Jack Sigma could ISO. People forget how. Okay, so I'm not getting ready to say Jack Sigma was Jokic. I'm gonna just say this: Jack Sigma can back your big man out and do a nice conservative dribble and go past your center, or do that and then pull up and shoot. Sigma was like this mid-range guy that on defense he was all right, but on offense he could do that. So he was a threat to your. He made your big man. He made your big man feel uncomfortable because he played an awkward game. How about that? Sigma played an awkward game. Like he could hit those jumpers that Bill Cartwright feasted on. Those 15-foot baseline jumpers. Bill Cartwright feasted on that for his entire career, right? Sigma feasted on those. Back in the day, your big man didn't want to come out 15 feet because if he was 15 feet away from the rim, he's thinking, well, if I'm out here, who's protecting the rim? Right?
Yeah. I mean, Sigma was like your pre-stretch 4. Yeah. Before Big started, going to the land of the 3-point area. But yeah, you had. I mean, back to the Krause. I mean, when you got that kind of structure, when a general manager can tell the greatest ball player of any generation that, thanks, but we'll talk to you later. We'll take into consideration what you were saying later.
Right.
How are you not successful?
Right. Hey, and just real quick to make y'all laugh, Jack Sigma was a center power forward, depending on what era you watched him in. He was a center power forward. Jack Sigma shot 35% from 3 for his career. In the 90s, in the 80s, basically. In the 80s, my man shot 35% from 3, basically. And you telling Robert Parrish to go out on the perimeter and guard him, right? Are you telling Pat Ewing to go out on the perimeter and guard Jack Sigma, right? And so while he wasn't going to dribble it all the way to the basket, he made your big man feel awkward. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my, I'm like kind of like Charles Oakley and those power forwards from the Houston Rockets shooting those jumpers, and they got him out 15 feet, and he backing off. What's the guy? Carl Herrera? Is that his name?
Yep. Carl Herrera.
Jade Oakley to death.
Yeah. Yeah. Carl Herrera. And that's what I'm talking about with Charles Smith. We're not talking about him not being as forceful. Why did Carl Herrera have a better finals than Charles Smith?
I don't know, bro.
That's way more that literally it came off the tip of your tongue. You remember that quickly. Yeah. That Carl Herrera kept jaying the Knicks front court. And he had way more of an impact. Mind you, I don't think Carl Herrera averaged 10 points.
No, he didn't average 10 points a game.
But
no, we're talking about Carl Herrera.
It just seemed like whenever they needed a bucket, he could make a shot.
Oh my God.
Way more.
Oh man. I like them old ladies. Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Right? And the Rockets didn't have a centerpiece trade to get Carl Herrera. Carl Herrera was a big ball player.
Yeah, and to your credit, to your earlier point, they found Carl Herrera.
Yes.
And a national player through workouts. Right? They found Mario Elie, got him off the scrap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A 6'5" small forward. Right? That can knock down the corner three. Right?
The Knicks found Mason.
Yes.
Found Starks.
Yeah, man. And so what I'm getting at is back then you could at least find a guy, a diamond in the rough. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, bro, for us not to be able to do that boggles my mind. I do think that Farron Hunt is going to be that guy, but oh well. So AD, I gotta get out of here so I can get ready for this dude to come in. We having issues.
All right, sir.
I apologize for that, man. No, I'm gonna try not to do that again, but I couldn't. He couldn't come by yesterday because it was raining, and it's raining right now.
Good rocking as always, Knicks fans. Thank you again for joining us on another old school Sunday journey.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Sherwin, don't do that. Sherwin said Smith was playing on one knee. Sherwin, don't.
He didn't come here. He didn't arrive on one knee, Sherwin.
He didn't arrive on one knee, bro. He didn't arrive on one knee. Starks played in game 6 and 7 on one knee.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for watching. AD, sir, as usual.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all for coming through. I think we're gonna try to do something a little bit later, but this has been old school Knicks, man. Thank y'all for watching. Peace, y'all.